I have been a guest, thanks to Ben, on the Roland Martin show. Ben, you were kind enough to do an introduction, and I've been a guest panelist. I've popped in and done reporting on some of these high-profile cases from time to time. You've been a guest on his show several times. I think Dr. Mack.
That's where I met Brother Mack. Yeah, that's where I met Dr. Mack. Yeah.
And so we love and support Roland Martin, and I was very disheartened when I saw the way that he was treated by Dan Abrams on News Nation, because, you know, as journalists, even if we are independent, we are still upholding the values of being accurate, of being balanced, right? That's right. When I saw the clip, because Roland posted it, and, you know, and Roland, sometimes he can call people out and stuff. And so I didn't watch the whole clip. I didn't fully understand it. But when I saw the National Association of Black Journalists issue a statement about the way he was treated, I realized I needed to go back and really pay attention to what happened. And I think our viewers need to understand also, as there's all of these new platforms popping up, all of these new news outlets popping up,
that's right,
promising to deliver on the truth in a way that mainstream media doesn't, right? Pay attention. And so what I want you guys to see is the way that News Nation, Dan Abrams specifically treated our brother Roland Martin when they invited him on as a guest panelist to talk about President Biden's statement about defunding the police. Take a listen. Look at this.
So, Roland, what happened? I've seen that you have been tweeting out all cops should be fired, all cops should be prosecuted for murder. What's happening with you?
Well, what's happening with me was happening with the folks who are out there committing heinous acts.
And again, without getting anecdotal about case by case, because I agree, if cops engage in misconduct, they should be held accountable. What I'm concerned about is a guy with a reputation like yourself, longtime journalist, you've been in this business a long time, you've got a big name, you've got a big following, and you're out there saying all cops should be prosecuted. And I think that's dangerous.
No, hold up. You forgot something. All cops doing what should be prosecuted?
Should be fired was the first one. And then the second one was every cop should be prosecuted for murder.
In response to what?
It's not a response. It's your tweet. It was an original tweet. It wasn't a response to somebody else.
So the unfortunate thing was Roland Martin was in a studio where he didn't have a monitor. He couldn't even see what Dan was putting up on the screen. But what's even more unfortunate is that his tweets were totally taken out of context. Take a look at this next clip where Roland is able to actually go back and watch which tweets were put up on screen and juxtapose what Dan put up on screen with what was actually on his Twitter feed. Take a look.
This right here is the tweet that Dan posted. Every cop should be fired. This right here is the actual tweet. Every cop should be fired. What was it in reference to? This New York Times story. Jazima Goldring was walking in Atlanta with her friends when police officers arrested her for jaywalking and claimed there was cocaine inside her stress ball. They were wrong, a federal judge said. Now, after 5 months in jail, she's due $1.5 million. Dan said, I need to be specific. This is specific. This is called a quote tweet. Anybody who understands Twitter knows when you do a quote tweet, you are responding to the tweet. Dan Abrams has done quote tweets. He owns the website Mediaite. They have done stories on quote tweets. He showed this here. Every cop should be prosecuted for murder. That's what Dan ran on his show. What didn't Dan run on his show? This is the actual tweet. Every cop should be prosecuted for murder. What was I speaking about? This Al Jazeera Plus story where Minneapolis police released video of the police killing of Amir Locke during a no-knock raid. He was 22. Police shot Locke, who was black, 3 times as he lay on a couch under a blanket, saying he had a gun. Locke was not the target of the warrant and was a licensed gun owner, says family. That's what I was referring to. I was being extremely specific. What Dan's people did was they cut my tweet and posted it this way.
You know, and that type of sensationalism is what has got us to where we are today as a society, and with the current threat that we have against democracy. You know, that type of journalism discredits Black journalists like Roland Martin. And there's absolutely no reason why Roland should have to pull up a monitor and do an elementary side-by-side comparison of his tweets. But what else is he left with when here you have this white man on a platform trying to discredit yet another independent journalist?
But George, I will say this. The one thing that all of us know about Roland will always come with the receipts. Not sometimes. Roland always has his receipts. That's first and foremost. Second of all, I want to say to NABJ, I am so proud of you for writing a letter and standing in solidarity with Brother Martin. That's number 2. As a matter of fact, I think you ought to write another letter and another letter. And I think that all Black folk need to steer clear of Dan Abrams until he comes out and apologizes, because, Georgia, what you said is absolutely the truth. He was incredibly disingenuous. He knows how the world works. And instead, he wanted to do what America has always taught these little white boys to do. When you want to ride, if you just need a stepping stone, put your foot on the neck of a Black person and let that be the way that you just inch up just a little bit. America has taught you, Dan Abrams. It's taught you well, but trust and believe this, fam. We're not letting that brother roll. You want to come to Roland, come through all of us. But we see your little tricky ways, and you know damn well you was disingenuous.
Little tricky dicky.
Yeah.
And it was such a whack attempt. Like, it was a whack attempt at a gotcha moment because, one, like you said, Roland ain't the one. Roland be waiting for these opportunities. So Dan Abrams was like, Roland was like, please don't throw me in the briar patch. But so Dan Abrams walked into it for himself. But that just speaks to the level of incompetence that is allowed in journalism when you are a white man. Because let's be real, if one of us had made that mistake, because that's a journalistic mistake, and that shows a lack of journalism and journalistic integrity. I don't care if it was on purpose or not. Either one, it's either malpractice or it's malevolence. None of us can get away with that at any level, at any part. But this man has a whole organization behind him, and I did not know he owns Mediaite. I don't think we'll be using their content anymore.
Okay. And especially when Roland was saying, look, what was that tweet in relation to? And he would never, ever answer it. So you know he's being disingenuous. They absolutely know it. So mistake or not, take the mistake part out of it, Ben. It was as calculated as it could be. It was as calculated as it could be. And again, if there's one guy that you don't want to go to, and if you go to him, you better absolutely have every I dotted, every T crossed, because he always has his receipts. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, to that point, Dr. Mack, when you think about Roland directly asking, what was that in response to? And Dan just said, it wasn't in response to anything. It was just a tweet. So you lied. You just flat out lied. And then the other thing is, think about the way that made him look. You know, think about the way, like if I'm a white person and I don't know who Roland Martin is, I haven't followed him, and I'm watching this show and I'm meeting him for the first time. And you're a person who's now being accused of just these blanket tweets saying every cop should be prosecuted for murder. Every cop should be fired. You sound like an activist. You sound like, you know, you are the president of a BLM chapter. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, because people who have just put those blanketed tweets out there have been responsible for making progress in some regards. But that's not Roland. And anybody who knows Roland knows that he's not just out here making those blanketed statements. He's not an activist. He's a journalist. He's a business executive. He owns his own network. And so to accuse him of using his platforms in that way, it would be journalistically irresponsible of him. And so the fact that Dan would lie to his audience, introduce Roland in this way.
That's right.
You know, it's just insulting to Black journalists all across this country. And it is, I think, a microcosm of what we're seeing other journalists do, other white platforms do to try to discredit Black voices who are using journalism as a vehicle to expose injustices.
And Georgia, let me say this quickly. The thing that makes it so easy for these white boys to do this, the thing that makes it so incredibly easy, because the one thing that America has used as propaganda is the angry Black man